Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Wrestle YouTube channel. I'm Aaron Nix. I'm the most unprofessional wrestler walking God's green earth. And I'm going to discuss NXT New Year's Eve. Oh, fucking, it's got Vince Russo written all over it. It really has. Tonight, well, we'll record it the night before, but tonight is NXT New Year's Eve. So we thought we'd play the predictions game and just have a bit of crack and a bit of fun. And hopefully this will be a slight upgrade from looking at the pubic head fuckface that is Sam Roberts if he chooses to turn up. Hopefully he'll die in a crevasse somewhere because there's no need for people like that in this world. Joining me is a serious upgrade on pubic head twatburger. Madcap Miller has joined us, relative of Madcap Moss. Hell yeah, Fedora, baby. Jay Miller is back in the house to discuss NXT New Year's Eve. Will you be watching New Year's Eve, Jeremy?
I will try to watch New Year's Eve. I might be at work.
Ah, yes. And where do you work, Jeremy Miller?
I cannot say.
Oh, what? We'll give it away at the end of the show, ladies and gentlemen. We'll tell you what store he works at as well, so you can go and visit him. So I'm pretty sure we've got a few wonderful natives of OHIO in the house. Right, time for some predictions, and let us know what you genuinely think is going to happen. So let's start with the women's title. The NXT women's title is up for grabs. Triple threat. Cora Jade, Raquel Gonzalez, both challenging Mandy Rose.
Whew. See, I like Mandy as the NXT champion. I think it gave her a resurgence of her career. Raquel Gonzalez, she's on her way up to the main roster. I wouldn't surprise seeing her in the Royal Rumble. I think they're going to let Cora Jade win tomorrow. And the reason I think that is because she got the pin in War Games against Mandy. And normally that's like a precursor to who's going to win the championship. Now they could screw us all off and say it's Mandy, and that way we just whatever. But I think Cora Jade wins it.
Yeah, they've kind of gone with reboots from the last pay-per-view for a lot of these matches. It's only one match I'm really here to see, which we're going to talk about. But Cora Jade has got a massive trajectory. Seems to be on the way up. Loved her little tweet about Darby Allin. I don't know if you saw that, where Darby Allin kind of made a shot. He made a cheap shot, a gesture at her, saying that, oh, my skateboard isn't a gimmick. It's actually a part of my lifestyle. Not just some silly gimmick on a silly show. And she basically responded and gone as if to say, well, at least my gimmick isn't that I'm allegedly a rapist. She's, I think she's 19, 20 years old. Well done, love. Strong, powerful, straight out of the gate. That's only going to give her brownie points for the WWE system. I think she wins here. I think you're right. I think they're using the Raquel Gonzalez theory, where Raquel Gonzalez dominated War Games, then went on and obviously dominated by beating Rhea Ripley and proving her dominance as a general women's champion. So, yeah, I don't think it really makes sense for Mandy Rose to keep it, although Toxic Attraction is awesome. Bit disappointing that the women's tag titles aren't being defended on this show, from what I can tell, but not nearly as disappointing as the seizure that Jeremy Miller seems to be having in his hand that's holding the camera right now. So there's that. It's what it is. You're getting a little bit shaky over there, buddy. Or maybe it's just because we're talking about Mandy Rose. He's craftily jacking off. And that is thoroughly acceptable at the Wrestle Plug, ladies and gentlemen. Frankly, if you're not masturbating over Toxic Attraction, what are you doing with your life? Because there's a lot of hours that need to fill the day, and there's only so much that we can fill with work. The rest of it should be filled with salty semen. This podcast is really taking a dive, and it's already really low. So the fact that it's going even further, just shows you how little effort I'm now putting into this process. But fuck it, if 10 people watch it and find it funny, good for you guys. At least it's better than fucking, sitting there with a couple of fat Canadians and pretending that you're some sort of analyst. We all know what we're talking about, don't we? We all know. So, yeah, women's title match should be a good match, to be fair. I will say that much. So Grayson Waller apparently will be confronted by AJ Styles. Whether this will be a match or not beats me. Are you liking the use of main event attractions, case in point, AJ Styles, and also Matt Riddle, who's going to be in a match on this show, to help kind of bolster the image of it? Do you think it might work? Or do you think people aren't going to tune in? They're not going to be like, oh, AJ Styles and Matt Riddle are on this show, so we're going to watch.
I'm probably going to get a lot of flack for this, but I think NXT...
You won't, because nobody watches it.
NXT died. NXT died when they went to that multicolored bullshit 2.0. But it was horrible. But then, that's because Triple H isn't running it. That's because Shawn Michaels isn't running it. It's now Vince and Pritchard taking over the show. So, do I think that people will check in? Do I think people will check in because AJ's on and Riddle's on? Maybe. But I don't think it's going to do much if it does. Oh,
yeah, no. I don't know what happened to Triple H. I'm pretty sure Vince deliberately gave him a heart attack or something. He probably rang up Bruce Pritchard and he's like, Bruce, I need you to go around to my son's house and just put a little something in his soup. And I'm like, oh, yes, sir, absolutely. What, do you want me to put some vegetables in there? No, put some cyanide in there, that little fuck. You want to bring in indie wrestlers? You want to bring in midgets? I'll give you midgets. Give us Braun Breaker, you son of a bitch. Luckily for us, Braun Breaker is actually good. So that's kind of worked out in our favor. No idea. The AJ Styles Grayson Waller thing, they obviously have seen Grayson Waller and think he's shit up, which means that he's going to get a push, kind of like the Austin Theory push that's going on at the moment, where he's Vince's lackey on Raw. And if you're Austin Theory, you're going to take it, aren't you? You're not going to be like, nah, you're right, mate. I'm quite happy wrestling on main event. So you'll just take what's there. I feel that I don't like Grayson Waller. He does his job, I guess, because I find him irritating as fuck. But it's one of those things where I'm not irritated, but in a cool way, like The Miz, where I think, oh, you bastard, but you're so good at being a bastard. Whereas with him, I'm just like, okay, fast forward. Whatever. Another loud Australian guy. Whoop-de-doo, Basil. I personally think Duke Hudson is a better version of him. He looks more professional. He's a much more smoother kind of worker as well. Grayson Waller, for me, just seems like an Australian cosplayer, Jake Paul. So I don't really understand what the point is. Just get Jake Paul if that's the case, because I'm sure he'll do it. He'll do anything for money, including knocking out random black men on HBO. So, that seems to be his new career, which is awkward to say the very least. I guess it's only racist if you're not getting paid for it. It's what it is. But AJ Styles on NXT, pretty cool. Interesting to see what he does. Hopefully he'll just beat the shit out of Grayson Waller and he'll be like, this is now the house that AJ Styles built. And they're like, yeah, but you've not been it. Semantics. Moving on, though, in terms of actual wrestling, we have a bit of a unique situation here in the unification of the Cruiserweight Championship and the North American Championship. Carmelo Hayes, North American Champion, versus Roderick Strong, Cruiserweight Champion. Winner will, of course, unify the belts. And I assume the Cruiserweight title will just go... you can call it unification all you want, but the reality is no one's walking around with the big purple vagina afterwards, are they? They're going to be walking around with a nice brown belt with North America on it. So... that leads me to believe that Carmelo Hayes is going to win, which makes Diamond Mine look a bit because they got like 15 geezers in that faction and one incredibly hot one called Ivy Nar, but they apparently can't overcome, Black Guy and his tricky friend. Very weird, very, very weird. And well, in the meantime, Kyle O'Reilly and the rest of the Undisputed Era are enjoying themselves in all elite dog wanking. And it is what it is. Do you have any predictions or thoughts for what might happen in our unification title match?
I agree. Carmelo Hayes is probably going to win. The Cruiserweight title will be non-existent ever again. And I guarantee
next 2 years, and then I'll bring
next week or two, Roderick Strong will be on AEW.
Yeah, I hear that his contract's up. Don't know how factual that is, but to be honest, I almost feel like the change to 2.0 is to necessitate giving the shoulder to a lot of these guys. It's like Roderick Strong, he's a bit indie-rific, isn't he? Yeah, yes, he is, Vince. He's really good, isn't he? Yeah, he's really got get him the fuck out of my sight. Like, you can just see Vince has walked in, right? And what NXT is that really cool after dark party. Your boss goes home. You open up the secret door to the basement. There's a fucking banging rave down there. You've got fucking heavy metal music and hardcore drugs and fucking banging prostitutes and all sorts. And unfortunately, Daddy has finally found out about the illegal raves, and he's watching. What the fuck is going on in here? Where's all the steroids and the huge people? And it's like, oh shit, Vince is here. And they're all trying to scramble to hide themselves. And Vince is just walking around with a torch going, where is he? Where is he? Connor, get your fucking ass out of here, you skinny piece of shit. And you're diabetic. Get the fuck out of my sight. And now it's kind of working like that's what's happening. And he's like, that's that woman, Mercedes Martinez. Yes, she's I don't give a shit what she is. She's an immigrant. Get her out of here. Get someone hot and white in there. Cora Jade, she'll do. Like, it's just a replacement thing going on here. Get rid of that person, replace them with this. Something more Vincey. And Roderick Strong will probably be the next in many a line of that, which is a real shame because, well, how many people on their bingo cards had Roderick Strong surviving, above all the other members of Undisputed Era in WWE? Not many.
Well, he was injured too, so maybe that's why his contract was extended a little bit.
Yeah, possibly. It's a shame if he does go, just because it's not like AEW is really using the Undisputed Era guys that well right now. And
they reformed Red Dragon. That's all that matters to me.
Yeah, Red Dragon's great, but as we've proven with tag teams in AEW, I wouldn't hold your breath. Congratulations. I look forward to Red Dragon versus Jurassic Express on AEW Elevation. Wonderful. It doesn't feel like it's a step up or a step down for him. It's just like move to the side, do something else. He'll be happy. He'll probably get more money because I know NXT doesn't pay very well. So good for him. Go and do what makes him happy. Also, probably get to spend more time with your wife and kids. Always a good thing. So I don't have a problem with guys going to AEW. It's just that don't try and act to me like it's a big upgrade, because it's not. Like, I've seen what Adam Cole did in the first half of the year. I don't think he's repeated that process with anything he's done so far in AEW. And that is a lot to do with the fact that they've just got the most bloated roster of all time. How long do you think before AEW starts turfing people out and all of a sudden they're the monsters for releasing people? Because you're going to have to get rid of them eventually. You can't just keep a swollen payroll. We've all seen what happened last time you did that on TNT, brother. It didn't work out too well, did it? It's probably going to be the main event. It shouldn't be, because there's only one match on here that should be the main event. Tommaso Ciampa defending the NXT Championship against Rick Steiner. That should be his name. His name should be Rick Steiner. He should come out and shout bitch 55 times. He should swear a lot. He should have his uncle and his father in his corner. But no, he's got to be Bron Breakker. Bron Breakker sounds like a term my electrician would use when he comes around to my house when we have a power cut. I see you got a problem with the Bron Breakker there, pal. So, okay, that'll be $100. Thank you very much. Just a shit name, a really shit name. Also, where's my Bron fixer? Just saying. Bron Breakker versus Tommaso Ciampa. Do we have a new champion at the end of the night?
Yes.
All change, huh?
I think it's going to go the same route that they did with War Games, with the women.
War Games.
Bron Breakker got the pin on Tommaso Ciampa. So Breakker gets the title. And let's be fair, Vince loves Bron Breakker, and everybody else could care a fuck less about him. I mean, don't get me wrong, he is he is one of the greatest tag teams, son, but fuck it. I can't stand NXT 2.0 right now. They have not given me anything that will bring me to watch it for more than just the pay-per-views.
Yeah, that, to be fair, that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm only watching takeovers and specials. I'm not watching anything else at this point. I really like Cora Jade, but I think she's been hot-shotted way too quickly. I really like Bron Breakker, actually. I think he could legitimately be a massive star. He's got the body, he wrestles well, he's a good promo. And, you know, if he goes out to Raw and they're like, he's Rick Steiner. And if he comes out and he says, look, I'm Rex Steiner, I believe is what he calls himself. You know, like I'm Rex Steiner or whatever, you know, that'll work. So I don't mind too much them kind of, you know, getting away from it. But the thing is, right, if you're not going to call him Steiner, why present him like a Steiner? He wears the multicolored singlet. He wrestles just like him. He calls people bitch. You know, he goes, I don't give a shit. You want a friend? Go get a dog. It's like everything about him screams Steiner. He even fucking dropped 33 and a third at one point in a promo. And you're like, oh my God, yes, Steiner mathematics. And again, Tommaso Ciampa, how long? How long before he's all elite? But, you know.
I don't think he will.
Really? You think he stays?
No, I don't think he stays either.
You think
I think he goes to either New Japan or Impact.
I think he retires.
And he might retire.
He might just say, do you know what? I'm a father. I'm lucky to have my neck intact at this point. I've had a good career. I got to be NXT champion, I believe, a couple of times. You know, I was pretty much the face of this brand for the longest time. And I got to live out my dreams. And he was on the main roster, at least for a little bit, you know, when they had the NXT invasion and stuff like that. So it's not like he's never been on Raw or SmackDown. And he knows that his ceiling is very low in terms of that. Maybe he just calls it a day. Or maybe they throw enough money at him to get him on the main roster, because I feel like he's jacked enough and he's menacing enough. He would be a great evil faction leader, but I don't really have faith in WWE doing anything with him. And it's another reason why 2.0 for me is lacking now, because I was kind of confident in it. I tried to be Mr. Positive, which you know is not me. And I looked at 2.0 and I thought, yeah, like there are bits that I like enough that I can watch it. And now I'm just like, this is bullshit. That's Carney bullshit. This is Raw Plus or Raw Minus or Diet Raw or Sunday Night Heat before Raw. None of it feels special or unique. But that being said, the numbers weren't great on the other one either. So I think we just have to accept that something like this is never going to be that cool anyway. Like, people aren't going to watch this and think, oh my God, like even All Elite seems to have quite a ceiling on it. Seems to only really cap at around 1 million, unless they do something ridiculously crazy over the top. And even like CM Punk, for instance, that only got like about another 400,000 on his debut. And then that's just kind of gone, because, you know, okay, great, he's back. But unless he's wrestling like The Undertaker and Shawn Michaels every week, you're not going to be able to sustain that, because the casual fans would have watched that and gone, oh, cool, he's back and he cut an amazing promo. Are we going to watch 6 months and buy all the AEW pay-per-views? Nah, Walking Dead's on, innit? And that's kind of what happens with people now. I don't think they have the patience for this kind of era of wrestling, but I do agree with you. I think Bron Breakker wins the title. And in some ways, I'm curious to see how he does. I worry that he's too young and it's too early. Can he maintain it? But this is definitely the lowest of the mainstream belts. So in some ways, if you can do a good job here, then it's promising that you can go up to the main roster and be a bigger star. Can't wait to see Bron Breakker, if he does well here, moving on to something like an IC title reign. Just build him gradually. Problem is, WWE never does that. You've got to tinker. You've got to fuck around. It's only one match I'm watching this show for. Frankly, I'm amazed it's taken us this long to get here. A 6-man tag team match, which, frankly, will have me ripping my cock off before the show even begins. Raw Tag Team Champion Matt Riddle will tag with MSK. I wonder what the connection is there. Where's... Oh, here we go. Yep. Wesley and Nash Carter, of course. My boys. I love Wesley. He's so cool. He still follows me on Instagram. God knows why. I'm a horrible person, Wes. Unfollow me and get on with your life. That is good enough. They're wrestling Imperium. Not just the NXT Tag Team Champions, Marcel Bartel and Fabian Eichner. They're also facing the best wrestler in the world, bar none, Volta. Cream. Massive amounts of cream. Do you even care who wins this? I just want to see Volta chop through Riddle's soul, which I've already seen in person. So I'm excited about this. for me, these are arguably the 6 most capable and exciting wrestlers in WWE. There aren't many guys that I can think of right now that I think are hotter or more exciting to watch in an isolated moment than these 6 guys. Maybe Dragunov, if you threw him in as well, obviously. And there's a couple of other guys, but these 6 are definitely contenders for the best all-round wrestlers going.
Yeah, I think like Legado, Del Fantasma could be very good up in the main roster. Of course, Santos Escobar, who follows me on Twitter. Yes.
He follows me on Twitter. Persephone Vice. How you doing? And other than that, nobody, because I hate Twitter. I am actually followed by GWF's announcer, which is kind of cool. I like him. And a couple of other random people who are really cool, including Ollie Sandler, the photographer. Don't know why I'm just name dropping social media people at this point, but if you look at my Facebook, that's an entirely different story, but we're not going to get into that. So yeah, Santos Escobar follows you. Not bad. Not bad.
Love it. Santos and Legado would be if they had to shoehorn a team into here, like say MSK or Riddle came down with COVID and there needed to be a team thrown into this, Legado would be fantastic.
Yeah, but it would just be too much heel shenanigans, I think, and that just wouldn't work for people. Knowing them, they'd probably put those two.
Santos Escobar.
Hey?
I just want to see Walter and Santos Escobar in a one-on-one fucking
I do, but I don't want to see it in WWE because WWE booking will basically say, even though I have no problem with Walter murdering people, if anything, it's like one of my biggest sexual desires is to watch it. But ultimately, I feel that Santos Escobar should not be sacrificed for the sake of WWE style booking, which is big, meaty Austrian man, very small brown man kill. Like, because that's basically all that creative will come up with. Vince McMahon will be like, oh, we can't have him go over because he's from another border. Like, yeah, but Vince, he's like actually really talented. Shut up, he's brown. Okay, Vince. Okay. Yeah, that's right. Put the Nazi over. Sir, he's actually from Austria. I don't give a shit. Shut up. They're all fucking German. Doesn't give a shit. He doesn't give a get Cesaro in here to translate for me. I can barely understand that piece of shit potato. Yeah, basically, this is the We Hate Vince McMahon podcast at this point. I think that Imperium wins because Volta is utterly unstoppable, and it doesn't really make sense for the MSK to win, and it sure as hell doesn't make sense for Matt Riddle to come down and trample talent. Like, what's the point? Like, it's good that Riddle's out there, and I think it adds more gravitas to the match. I wouldn't be surprised if they open with this, actually. And if they do, then I'm going to bed straight afterwards. Fuck the rest of the show. But yeah, this is definitely the highlight for me. This is the match that I want to see. Whenever Volta wrestles, I feel like my entire world stops to watch that. That's how special I think he is. I think he's legitimately one of the best wrestlers of all time and definitely of the modern era. I think he's the last protected and exciting and unruined, he's the last kind of unblemished superstar. And I'm sure they'll ruin that eventually.
He'll be coming to the main roster soon enough. And then he'll be Big Daddy Walter, who gets his ass handed to him by Roman Reigns or Drew McIntyre.
Or the returning Braun Strowman.
Fuck no. You mean Titan?
Can we have an angle where Volta beats up Goldberg's son? I think that would be amazing if he chopped him, like actually chopped his head, Gage's head, clean off the rest of his body, and Goldberg holding his grieving son swears down revenge, and then me and Cameron Anderson can go head to head as our favorite wrestlers destroy each other in Mortal Kombat at Survivor Series 2020.
You know how on the last podcast on day one, by the way, check day one podcast, fantastic. You know how we were saying who could go up against Brock Lesnar, who could go up against Roman Reigns? Walter. Give me Brock Lesnar versus Walter.
That's the dream match. but you know that like WWE won't allow them to be booked properly. I don't trust that WWE will give us that.
Oh no, absolutely not. They won't
It should
book
be
it
20
right,
minutes. It should
give
be
me,
a murder. Like one of them should emerge with the other one's soul in a casket of doom. But we won't get that. What we'll get is like, Vince will just like, hey, Brock, get out there and slap that Dancy's little tits off. So, I just don't trust WWE to pull the trigger the right way with things like this. So whenever I see Volta in a match like this, I just stop, I suspend my disbelief, and I just enjoy this moment for what it is, because it's a rare sighting of Volta on American soil as well. He's the special attraction that they're bringing over to try and garner a bit of ratings. It definitely feels like they're trying to push to get more people and more eyes on this product, and I understand that. I don't think it'll personally be that successful, because even though they're using amazing talents, I just think overall the stink is too large around this program. People already hate it for whatever reason, whether it be too colorful, too stupid, too childish, too main roster like. And because of that, people won't tune in, even if you put fucking Jesus Christ's resurrection on here. I just think people would just be like, yeah, well, Jesus Christ is on it, but we hate Fabian Eichner, so fuck off. It's that kind of thing. People will find an excuse. What's that? You're going to resurrect Elvis and Kurt Cobain to perform at the beginning of NXT New Year's Eve. Oh yeah, well that would be good, but I don't really like Nash Carter because he had to go at Izzy once, so fuck off. Like that's how people react to this shit. Like this is why we don't take the podcast that seriously, because well, you lot don't take wrestling seriously, so why should we? So yeah, looking forward to it in any way, or are you going to do what I do and just watch that match? And then
I'm probably gonna keep an eye on it. Might sit down and watch one of the. Definitely want to watch the 6-man tag match. I might check in the Ciampa and Breaker match just to see how good it is, because I saw Halloween Havoc and it was good. It just didn't like tick the boxes for me on how good Breaker's actually going to do. And then the other two matches can go fuck itself at this point. Maybe Cora Jade.
Yeah,
I might check in on that one.
Women's match is pretty good. Like the women's match, they are all three capable women. Cora Jade definitely looks like the rank underdog, but I mean, she's pretty and she's sweet and she's adorable and dare I say sexy, although way too young for my old carcass. Hey, her Instagram, it's the gift that keeps on giving, isn't it, really? But Mandy Rose, that's where the money's at, baby. Oh, mama. Toxic attraction, dope man for you. Yes, please. Yes, please. And on that Thursday night, I think we'll leave it there. That's our prediction / awful preview for the show. To be honest, the highlight of this entire show is the fact that Jeremy Miller is completely cosplaying as Boy George and Madcap Moss combined, which I think is very cool. So feel free to leave Boy George lyrics in the comments below. Sing Karma Chameleon to him at every possible opportunity. He is on Twitter, he's on Facebook, and he's on Instagram. Find him and give him some stickers. He's even taken a hat off because he knows the score. But I personally love a fedora. I've got all the time in the world for your mad gypsy dressings. And it's been a pleasure to have you back on the podcast, sir.
Thank you, good sir. I will be back more often than not.
Yes, hopefully without the Parkinson's camera. But you never know. Once Jeremy Miller can work out how to get into his private PC after it was locked out by the government for nefarious problems, then obviously we will have no issues, ladies and gentlemen, bringing you more ridiculously stupid carny fun at the Wrestle Plug. Our end of year awards will be dropping this weekend, so check that out. If you are not easily offended, if you are, don't watch it because it's awful and it's terrible. And frankly, it'll probably get the YouTube cancelled. So, yeah, it's been a great run. I've been Aaron X, he's been Jeremy Miller, and we will see you in about 3 years' time for a terrible spin-off of the Wrestle Plug. But yeah, if for some reason we are still here, then I'll catch you even more soon for more terrible content from the Wrestle Plug.
Bye, all.
Monkeys!